See him move through smoke and mirrors, feel his presence in the crowd. Other girls, they gather around him. If I had him, I wouldn't let him out. Golden eye, not lace or leather, golden chain taken.
Bond, James Bond. I've waited all my life to say that. Can you believe it? And I finally had the chance, so thank you. Actually, can I try it again? One more time. Bond, James Bond. Was that pretty good? That's pretty good. I got it down. Thank you very much. Thank you. I am thrilled to be here. I'm totally honored to be on this amazing panel of experts. I want to thank you. I also want to thank Mr. Bill Webb. Where is he? Thank you, Bill. And Meredith Oliver and Lynn Promise. Get it right? For the amazing graphics. Let's hear a big round of applause for them, can we? Didn't they do a great job? Thank you. Just briefly, just an idea of what we're going to accomplish today and a little bit about who I am, first of all. I have been a salesperson almost all of my life. I had the great privilege of getting trained very early in my career. I've sold personally written agreements for over $150 million worth of business and then managed salespeople as well. The point that I share that with you is not to be big-headed. Hopefully that's not what it sounded like. It's just to share with you that the things we're going to talk about today actually work. I've tried them myself. I'm also known as the stuff guy. I consider myself a trainer and a coach, and what I like to do is really teach you lots of stuff. So in the next 30 minutes, is it okay with you if I give you lots of stuff to take back to your offices? Is that good? All right, good. Well, thank you. You can applaud. I love it. Okay. Oh, Bond, James Bond. All right, lovely. Lots of stuff. So get your pens out, shake your hand out, get ready to write a lot of notes. You'll notice it in the workbook, and I believe I'm on page 41, if you're looking. Okay. If you open it up, there's a space on the other side where you can make lots of notes as well as the opening, because you might need it. All right, a thought occurred to me here with Bond and the whole James Bond theme that we have here, why James Bond and those kinds of things. So first of all, I'd like to ask a question to the group, and I'd like to go through the different James Bonds that there were. Does everybody know who James Bond is? Sort of rhetorical, right? We'd have to, yes. Where have you been for the last 25 years if you didn't know that? Just making sure. So I'd like to get an idea of who we think was the best James Bond. Was that okay? Just for the fun of it, want to get you involved. You've been here an hour already, and you've done a great job of hanging in there for these great speakers. All right, so first of all, let's talk. What I want to do is I'm going to name the Bonds for you, and I want a show of hands as to who you think was the best. And if you want to sort of shout out, yes, that one. Okay, well, I'll start. Well, thank you. Almost everybody says that. First of all, Sean Connery. Wow. Where's Sean? I got to call him Sean Connery. Sean Connery. All right, after Sean came Roger Moore, right? Not so many for Roger Moore. Then do you remember Timothy Dalton? Nobody liked poor Timothy Dalton, did they? What was up? He was a Shakespearean actor. That's strange. All right, then last but not least, Pierce Brosnan. Pierce Brosnan, ladies in the front really like Pierce Brosnan. Look at that. Oh, yeah, Pierce Brosnan. All right, well, that's interesting. So let's talk about that. It seems, wouldn't you agree by an overwhelming majority that Sean Connery was the favorite? Sean Connery? Yeah, Sean Connery was the best. What was it that Sean Connery had that the others don't seem to have, at least as not as much of? What was it about Sean? Pardon? Charisma. Oh, wow, okay, charisma. What else did he have, maybe? He was the original. Okay, anything else? Sense of humor. Believable. He was believable, and he had a sense of style. Right? Because if you said best actor, probably Timothy Dalton was the best actor, I think, amongst them originally, because he came from a Shakespearean background. But people love Sean Connery for some reason. So how does that relate to our sales team? Do our salespeople ever tell us they don't like to learn scripts? Yeah, I don't want that. I have my own personality, right? I don't want to do that. Our philosophy, you want to write it down, is it's planned, not canned. If you want to make the note of that, please. We like planned, not canned. So it shouldn't sound canned. Now, those four actors that played the same role effectively, they had to say similar lines, didn't they? And sometimes they had to say exactly the same lines. But did they bring their own style into it? Right, it made them vastly different, just like our salespeople. So the good news is we can tell our salespeople it's the process that dictates your style. If you could write that down, it's the process that dictates your style. In other words, we want to make sure that they have a process, right, first and foremost, which means they have to say certain things at certain times. And if they mix it up and change it, maybe they won't get to the sale at all. Is that possible? If they change things that we want them to say. But we don't want to undermine their style. That's what makes them individual. That's why we like them. For example, let's try an exercise here that I thought up. Could you finish this sentence for me? I like my martinis shaken. A bit louder, please. Not stirred. So when they paid, now how much money do you think Sean Connery got, or maybe who the highest paid would be Pierce Brosnan? $8 to $10 million, probably, for playing Bond. It's pretty nice, isn't it? For saying certain lines at certain places. You got $8 to $10 million. What if Pierce says, you know what? I'm going to say shaken, not mixed. I don't like that whole stirred thing. It's not for me. Would we have paid our money to go? No. We know that he was shaken, not blended. Shaken on the rocks. Wait a minute, it's shaken, not stirred. Well, it's the same thing with our sales training. We have scripts for the salespeople. They have to say those things. Not only do they have to say them, we know that there's a better place to say them, right? If Sean decided to say that remark not at a bar, but on the beach, it wouldn't make any sense. We're like, what the heck is going on here? It's a little strange. All right, well, he's Sean Connery. So let's all practice the shaken, not stirred line together, just for the fun. I know you want to. I wanted to, so let's all say it together. Shaken, not stirred. Hopefully the point has been made. You can tell the salespeople you can still have your style, but you still need to say the right things. Make sense? Good. Let's go to our workbook and open it up. If you want to make a note at the top of the page here, I like to call this a tune-up. A tune-up. Maybe I should say it properly, a tune-up. Okay? The idea is, a lot of you, a show of hands, by the way, who are sales managers in the group here? Great. That's a lot of you. Salespeople, and then owners and builders. Right, okay, that's a great mixture of people. It's wonderful. What I have found from my experience going on site and coaching and consulting with the sales managers is we don't always know what to expect from our salespeople. We have an idea of what we think they should be doing, but we don't know exactly what to expect. So what I'm going to give to you in the next 20 minutes, if you choose to accept it, is a tune-up that you can take back with you to make sure that they're doing what they're supposed to be doing. All right, so the first thing is greet, discovery, presentation. Now, what I'm going to do is give you some tips on how to monitor to make sure they're doing the right thing, things to train them with you, and then I want to give you a goal amount and an acceptable amount. It'll make more sense as I go through it. So where it says greet, discovery, and presentation, next to that, if you could write the word goal. Goal. And then next to that, just a few centimeters over, the word acceptable. So wouldn't we agree that your salespeople have to greet every single customer? Right? They have to ask discovery questions to learn about their needs, and they have to give a presentation, right? So what would the goal be for that? 100%, right? There's no discussion on that. They can't say, oh, you don't look that good. I saw the gremlin in the parking lot. I don't think I'll give you a presentation. That really wouldn't work. We can't judge any of our customers. So the goal would be 100%. Acceptable would be 100%. So you can write that in there. All right? So the goal for greet, discovery, presentation, 100% acceptable, right? Good. What are some of the things that you need to hear your salespeople saying? And if you're not, then they're doing something incorrectly. So first of all, they need to introduce themselves. That's a greeting. Hi, welcome to Sunny Acres. By the name of the builder, I am and you are. They have to get their name right at the beginning, correct? Because what's one of the things we like to hear the most? Our own name. I had a sales manager that I was talking to one time about coming to our boot camp. He was from the South. And he kept saying to me, well, Roland, and it had about 5 O's. And by the 5th time he said it, I stopped listening to anything that I was saying other than I was waiting for my name to be mentioned again. He was like, well, Roland. So somehow this gentleman knew. It created like some kind of emotional shower for me or something. It was just great to hear my name mentioned that many times. I don't know, I didn't realize I was so insecure. But our customers are the same way. They love to hear their name mentioned, so you have to get it at the beginning. So if you're in there, management by walking around, as Sam Walton like to call it, right, in the sales offices on the weekend, watching your salespeople, you got to make sure that they get their name. It's hi, welcome to, I am, and you are. The name of the builder, the name of the company, those kinds of things. All right, discovery, the discovery question. If you could write this down for me, open-ended at the beginning, leads to closings at the end. Thank you very much. Brilliant statement. Okay. Open-ended at the beginning leads to closings at the end. What I mean by that is we need to ask open-ended questions at the beginning to learn about the customer. Does that make sense? Yes? Absolutely. The opposite of that is, could somebody, just somebody in the front, would you mind just saying no to me a lot? Well, I'll tell you when, all right. So tell me, did you see our ads? No. Were you just driving by? No, you say no, remember? Okay, it's hard, I know. The pressure, the lights, the whole thing, yeah. Oh, he's sold, he wants to say yes. All right, you just sign here, press hard, there's 3 copies. All right, we'll try that again, can we? Take 2, just say no. All right, just say no to salespeople. All right, did you see the signs? Okay, are you looking for a 3-bedroom? How about a 4-bedroom? Oh, you want to spend 200? About 250? Do you like me? No. No, oh, that was good. Well, that was great. A round of applause for our what is your name? Harold. Thank you, Harold. That was great. The bottom line is you shouldn't like me because I'm a very bad salesperson asking closed-ended questions that require a yes or no, as opposed to open-ended questions. Open-ended begins with how, what, when, where, who. Sometimes tell me about is an opening beginning that will get you a lot of response. We don't like the word why because why can make people defensive, such as, that's a beautiful shirt you're wearing. Do you mind if I ask, why are you wearing it today? Oh, all of a sudden it backfired. So we don't want to say why, but the others are great. Let me give you examples of what we must find out. Number 1, how did you hear about my community by the builder? You wouldn't say that. You would say the name of the community. We understand that, right? How did you hear about Sunny Acres by ABC Builders? Okay, good. How did you hear about it? The next open-ended question is wonderful. What was it in the ad that attracted your attention? What was it that your friends said that caused you to come in today? Open-ended. Let's learn as much as we can at the beginning so we can close at the end. That make sense? The next huge question that you must hear your salespeople ask is, when do you find a home you like? When do you think you'll be moving in? The when question. When you find a home you like. Somebody at one of our boot camps told me that people learn differently, that if you hear it, then you have a 20% chance of remembering it. If you say it, it's about a 30%. If you write it down, it's about 40%. If you make it into a song, it's about an 80%. So in order to learn this stuff, I'd like to sing it sometimes. She says, when you find a home you like, when do you think you're moving in? It's my sort of Mrs. Doubtfire way of learning that little thing. It's strange, I admit it, but it seems to work. I remember it, so I can't complain. So the when question, okay? Then the next question would be our value range. How dare your salespeople give a presentation about anything if they don't know the value range the customer wants to stay within? Wouldn't you agree? Yeah, you're just wasting your time and you're just guessing. So the way to do it is to go from low to high. Our homes here at, we'll call it Sunny Acres, are valued between the 120s to the 2s. Where do you think you may fit in? They must ask that. Where do you think you may fit in? Narrow it down. Otherwise, your presentation, you're going to be making it up, and it has to be specifically about that customer, not the same old presentation that you would give to everybody. Once you found that information, you say, in that value range, in that time frame, we have 3 or 4 bedroom homes. What are you looking for? Talk about bedrooms. That's easy. And then after that, you can say, what other features in your new home would be important to you? So we've got bedrooms, and then what other features? All right? So those are some key discovery questions that they need to ask. Then we need to hear a presentation. Not just about the floor plans, but going macro to micro and the builder story. You need to hear them talk about you, right? The company and what makes you different before you get into all the ingredients of the home. All right? So those are some of the basics, and our goal was 100%, acceptable was 100%. Next, what we need to talk about, we need to do is demonstrate the model. All right? We need to go into the model with the customer personally. They can't just send them into the home. So in order to demonstrate a model, they have to know about it. So make sure that you have a list for them, a matrix, if you will. And there was an article I wrote recently for SMI magazine. It was last month's article. And in that, it talks about matrices. So if you would like to get a copy, please look it up in there, email, and we'd be happy to send one out to you. But we have matrices. One of them is for features and the benefits. Because features tell, but benefits what? Sell. So it's about the benefits. So make sure when you say you have Whirlpool appliances or you have great air conditioning, what does that really do? What's the benefit? Great air conditioning helps save you money. We have wonderful Pella or Anderson windows. So what? Easy to clean, helps save you money. Make sure they know the benefits, not just the feature, and that they give a very involving demonstration. The model, show of hands, who has models? Okay, so it's the majority of you, about, I would guess, 70 to 80% of you have models. Make sure that the salesperson shows the model. The left brain says, well, the customer described something different. They described a 2-story home, and our model is a ranch. It doesn't matter. The customer has to become a believer in your product first. Then wherever you take them, it's okay. So if you need an excuse to take them in there, say something, have them say something along the lines of, I just want to show you the model to give you an idea of the quality of one of our homes. Just to show you the quality, would that be okay? Because once they've seen the model, they'll be in love with you and the company, and everything will be easier after that. Don't go straight to the available home, which might not look that good. and you could lose your opportunity to create emotion. But sales, you want to write down, are emotion backed by logic. Emotion backed by logic. Okay, moving right along. The next thing that we need to do is demonstrate, is have your salespeople demonstrate either the available home, if that's their time frame, or more importantly, an available home site. Okay? Oh, by the way, I didn't give you the goal, did I? I don't think I gave you the goal of how many times your salespeople should walk in. So let me get that right for you. I apologize. As far as demonstrating the model, the goal would be 100%, right? We'd like to do it 100% of the time. Acceptable would be 90%. I would accept 90% because maybe it's a busy Sunday afternoon and you have some other folks that you're working with and the people really insist that they are really have just bought a home, closed last week. They really are looking, so that would be the 90% on that one. So 100% would be goal, 90%. So if you don't see your salespeople taking 9 out of 10 of your customers into the models personally to at least get them started, they're doing something wrong, just to let you know what the expectation should be. The next thing is demonstrate a home site. You want to take them out to the home site. You've got to personally go to the home site with them on the first visit. Please write this down, sight and ye shall write. Sight and ye shall write. Okay? Again, in order to drive the sale, for most of us, what creates more urgency? The choice of homes that we can build again and again, or the choice of home site? The home site, right, because you can run out of those, and that has more unique selling propositions. So it's the home site. So what we have, again, your salespeople need to create a home site matrix for every single home site. So you would look at a map, for example. I know you can't see this from here. There's no way you could see it. But what they need to do is look at every available home site and compare the differences. And then write out what the benefit is of that difference. So if you have certain home sites that face east, what's the benefit of the back facing east? Well, you have the sun in the morning. Wouldn't it be nice to have a cup of coffee and watch the sun come up? The back faces west, what's the benefit of the back facing west? Sunset. Obvious, but make sure they know this stuff cold, okay? And they would create a matrix for that. There was a company that I worked with at the beginning of the year in Cherville. Anybody know where Cherville is? Cherville, Indiana, close to Chicago. Interesting place. It was wintertime. We looked at their video shops together. The one thing that we noticed was that the salespeople were not taking their customers into the model, and they were not taking them to the home site. They were waiting till the customers came back 4 or 5 times. That would never happen here, right? Oh, never do that. So we discovered that on the video shops. We were nice and gentle about it, but we said to the salespeople, don't you think it'd be better if you took the customer to at least one model and at least one home site? They said, why not? We'll try it. This was March of the beginning of last year, and in April they doubled their sales. Their goal was 20 and they had 40 sales. That simple thing that they did, take them to a model, take them to a home site. You can't sell them if they're not emotionally involved. Does that make sense? Okay, good. So you need to have your home site matrix together. The next thing, number 4, ask for the sale. Ask for the sale. Who said it earlier? Ask for the sale. All you have to do is ask. I think Bill asks, he said, it says in the Bible, ask and you shall receive. I believe that was Bill. Ask and receive. The goal, by the way, I keep doing this and I apologize, I get too excited, I'm sorry. But the goal for demonstrating a home site, the goal is 90%. So 9 out of 10, we should aim for that. Acceptable would be 80%. Do you think that if your salespeople showed the home site on the first visit 8 times out of 10, that they would get more sales right now? Absolutely. It has to take place. So that would be the acceptable. Okay, asking for the sale. How many times is it reasonable to ask for the sale? Anybody? 5? Did I hear you say 5? Yeah, at least 5 to 7. That doesn't even include mini closing statements. So where do we ask for the sale the first time? Where's the best place to ask for the sale? At the home or the home site, exactly. If you're in an available home, ask for the sale while you're there. Sales is what? Emotion backed by logic. So ask when the emotion is peaking, either in the home or on the home site. Let me give you a few things that you can say. When you're in the home, when you're in the model, they would say this. Write it down. It's really easy. There's no rocket science to this. You just say, is this the type of home you'd like to own? That's all they have to say. There was a young 19-year-old girl at our boot camp about a year ago that wrote to me about 3 days after she attended the boot camp, and she said, I can't believe it. She's from Salt Lake City, I believe it is. She said, I can't believe it. I had 3 customers this weekend, and I asked all 3 of them, is this the type of home you'd like to own? And they all 3 said yes, and they all 3 bought. She just didn't question it. It was so easy for her. So ask that. You pretend you're an actor or an actress, and that's your mark. When you get finished showing the model, you say, is this the type of home you'd like to own? Okay? Then you take them to the home site, and when you're finished on the home site, it's a really simple question. Do you have any questions before we go back and review the paperwork? It's a closing question. It's so easy. Do you have any questions before we go back and review the paperwork. Make sure they're asking for the sale on the home site. And about 15% of my sales would go yes. Or they'd have, no, I have no questions. Which I couldn't always believe, because maybe I'd only been with them for 30 to 40 minutes at the most. I'm asking them for the sale, which wasn't always comfortable, but I know I'm an actor, and I have to be on my mark, which is the most emotional part of that home site, and I have to ask for the sale. I just have to do it. That's what I get paid the money for, and 15% of the time at least, they go, oh, all right, that's fine. Like, really? Did you hear the question? That's amazing. I can't believe it. But maybe I wouldn't buy that way, but a lot of our customers, as Charles would call them, the bulls and the tigers, they're emotional. Yeah, that's great. I love it. I'm going to buy right now. Why not? So make sure that you ask the question at the right place. The next thing, if you could write this down under closing for me, is don't leave it there. Well, don't write that down. I'm sorry. I want to give you a better phrase there. Don't leave it there was okay, but I have a better one, which is never negotiate on your feet. Never negotiate on your feet. Always close at your seat. Never negotiate on your feet, always close at your seat. In other words, you've asked for the sale on the home site. They've said, well, it's nice, but we have so many questions. You say, great, let's go back and recap what we've seen. Your movie, if you're an actor, if you're Sean Connery or you're M, whatever you'd like to be, your movie has to end back in your office or a nice little coffee table where you're sitting around and you're doing a formal recap. If you don't see your salesperson doing that every time, there's something wrong with their presentation. Because when you come back in and you say, here's a brochure, I'm off on Tuesday and Wednesday, would you like to buy? Does that sound very realistic? No, there's probably tons of things that the customer would like to go through with you if you just gave them the opportunity in the privacy of your office. So make sure that you bring them back. Some of the things that you can do to make sure they come back is not give them the brochure up front. Excuse me, very high pitch there. Don't give them the brochure up front, okay? Make sure that you keep that from them so you have a reason to go back in afterwards. All right? Make sure you go in the car with them or you walk together. If they go separately, they'll just take off. Make sure you come back and there's a formal recap at the end, a sit down, if you will. That way they'll get more sales and the customer is more likely to share what their real objections are with them. All right? How many times should you do that? How many times should you ask for the sale? 90% would be the goal. 80% would be acceptable. Only because there is some attrition with people that say, look, I just don't have time to go to the home site today. Just don't have time, and you'd make an appointment with those people. Correct? But let's set some goals to make sure that we ask for the sale. At least of the ones you take to the home site, it's 100%, right? But you're not taking everybody to the home site. If they run out of time or whatever, then we'd do. And if they do run out of time, what do we do if they don't have enough time available? Thank you. High five for you over there. Make an appointment, exactly. So that's the next thing, is make an appointment. How do we make appointments? First of all, write this down. If you don't see this from your salespeople, they don't have an appointment. It has to be in writing. Right? Has to be in writing. Where? In a day planner. Show of hands. Who knows that their salespeople have day planners? Good. Some of them bought them and lost them, right? So it has to be in a day planner. The customer has to have it in writing. It has to have a date, a time, and a telephone number. That's the only way it's an appointment. Not come back tomorrow and see me, or I'm off on Tuesdays and Wednesdays. Great, I'll come back on Tuesday. I didn't like you very much anyway. That's what I used to hear. No, I didn't really. Okay, so it has to be in writing, day plan and date, time. They have to confirm it. They have to make an appointment. Let me give you one little tip, if I may, as to how you can motivate your salespeople to make appointments. Would that be important to know? Good, because I've discovered with quite a few of the builders that we work with on a full-time basis that sometimes sales slip just by a little bit, and we've found it's because appointments have stopped being made, if you will. So how do you do that? Have a competition for appointments. First of all, just surprise them at your next office meeting and say, who has an appointment? They'll put a hand up, great. And if you're allowed to give them some kind of bonus or incentive or prize or gift or whatever, give it to them on the spot. Just make them happy. Good job. And then share with them that we're going to have an appointment setting competition. So next week or at the next sales meeting, whoever has the most written appointments in their day planner gets whatever prize it is that you think would be appropriate in your marketplace. And try that for a couple of weeks. Then what you want to do is step it up a notch. 2 or 3 weeks later, it's appointments that actually show up, obviously. So you want to make sure. First of all, let's just teach them the habits. Just get them in the habit of asking for the appointment. And if you can make sure that the goal, if I haven't already said it, the goal is 80%, acceptable is 70%. So if they meet 10 people, 70% of them, 7 of them should be coming back in. 70%. Hopefully the top half, if it's a percentage. Just being silly. All right? So they need to get 70% of the people back. If you do that, you'll be very successful. Is that it for time? Okay. I just want to thank you very, very much for having me here. I have a little poem that I like that I heard a long time ago that I'd like to share with you, if I may, which is, be careful of your thoughts, for your thoughts become your words. Be careful of your words, for your words become your actions. Be careful of your actions because your actions become your habits. Be careful of your habits because your habits become your destiny. So go out and make great habits. Thank you for having me. Oh, very important thing that I have to do. I've got 3 things I'm sorry I'm a little absent-minded about that I do apologize. We're having a 5-minute break now. That's one thing. The next thing, if you could take your action plans out when you come back and write down the 3 most important things that you learned, because if you don't do it now, you'll forget about it, so please do that. Also, we have evaluations. A show of hands, who has evaluations in okay? Please, if you could fill them out as you go. They're very important for us to look at that and get your feedback. We learn from that. The most important thing that I forgot is after the break, we are very, very privileged to have Meredith Oliver. She is incredible. Did anybody see her article in the SMI magazine a few months ago? It was one of the best articles I've ever read on launches and uses of the computer and the internet. So please hurry back and see Meredith Oliver. She is amazing. Thanks again.